Is up, everybody? Good morning. Happy Monday. We are live. Welcome to the morning show here on Stock Market TV. Got the full crew. We are back. Spencer, Steve, JC, Alfonso with you this morning. It is a light week. It's a quiet week. Obviously, holiday week. So we have a half day tomorrow. We have no markets on Wednesday, but we still have things to talk about, right? Tonight is JC's month, or I guess mid-month strategy session. So he has lots of charts on his mind. Maybe if we're lucky, he'll share a couple ahead of time today. If we're nice, we'll see. Stephen Weitzel is today's guest. He'll be on at 9. We'll have Kenny on the show. We'll have Jason Purrs on the show. And yeah, that's the plan. Here we go. Hit the thumbs up. I'd appreciate that. And let's boogie.
Oh, we are back. We are back. Take off that Strazza show thing on the top, right? You know, we're back. Yeah. Did you miss me?
Forgot that I even had a co-host.
I can't believe that they didn't cancel us.
Yeah. Hey,
you guys behave yourselves?
We handle things when you're gone, you know.
Yeah, what was the best part? What do you think? Like, if there was like, you know, JC, what did I miss? What do you think the best part of last week was?
We had a number of really nice interviews. Dave Matz was a lot of fun. We had a great chat about ETFs with CEO of Roundhill.
I think the conversation with Lundgren on Tuesday was my favorite part of the week.
Chat loves David Lundgren.
Yep.
And favorite.
Yeah, I could see that. Lundgren's the man, you know?
He was worried about you. He was like, he's at Disney for that long? Oh my God.
Yeah, no, it's all good. You know, I like my kids. My kids are cool.
Yeah. So did you have fun? What is your review of your Disney park experience?
Dude.
Yeah, and where'd you go?
Like, flip the book along.
You went to every park, right? Like you did the whole thing?
No,
How does it work?
No, we did Magic Kingdom a lot because I got 2 2-year-olds and a 4-year-old. So we're not riding like triple loop roller coasters, right?
So let's think.
So a lot more It's a Small World, Little Mermaid, less Tron, right? You know, less, right? Animal Kingdom, the Serengeti in Animal Kingdom is crazy, bro. They got hippos, they got rhinos, they got like 4 or 5 giraffes, zebras, lions. Dude, the Serengeti in Animal Kingdom, and my kids are obsessed with animals. I was like in shock.
You love animals too, though.
I love animals too. My kids are obsessed with animals, but like hippos are hard to find. Like, when was the last time you saw a hippopotamus?
No, Animal Kingdom's probably the best park.
Dude, Animal Kingdom was sick.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, just the whole thing. The lamb chops at Cinderella's castle, pretty good, man. Pretty good. You know, good lessons. Never have breakfast at Cinderella's castle because the breakfast is going to cost you the same as the lunch or the dinner, and it's a lot, just to be clear. So if you're going to be paying all that shit, I mean, you can get bacon and eggs anywhere, right? Like, do you really got to go to Cinderella's freaking castle for bacon and eggs? Like, get the lamb chops, you know, order a bottle of Bordeaux, you know, with your lamb chops. Like, if you're going to go Cinderella's castle, go lunch or dinner. So that's a good lesson, which we didn't do breakfast this year at Cinderella's castle, but we did last year. Never again. You got to go lunch or dinner.
And you got a lot of steps in. You're proud of the exercise that you did.
Dude, it's a workout, bro. I mean, listen, 2 2-year-olds and a 4-year-old. So you're always lifting some kid over your head. You're always carrying some kid. You know, you're doing 25,000 steps, plus like a lot of biceps and shoulder presses, right? So like, think about it. From the minute you wake up to the time you go to sleep, I mean, you're working out for whatever, 5-6 days straight. It's a hell of a workout. Like, you know, I might not be like in the greatest shape in the world, but damn, in hindsight, I'm in pretty freaking good shape. I mean, I handled that well, felt good coming back. Americans are fat, like just disgusting, fat, obese pigs. I mean, Disney World is like going to Times Square, kind of like a petting zoo for New Yorkers to see like what the rest of the country looks like.
You're
like
petting
Disney
people?
World is like that.
Were you were petting people in the parks? Probably shouldn't do that.
Oh man, you don't want to touch these people. Are you kidding me? You can't
I
touch
wouldn't
these
do
people. These people are gross, man.
What?
You could pet the like the characters, like Mickey
Dude,
Mouse.
yeah,
and Goofy.
yep.
Yank on
We
the tail.
pet the characters.
Yeah.
You know, I got to tell you, I had lunch at in Animal Kingdom in Africa. I forgot what it's called, Butcher something, Trucker something. I don't know, Tucker something.
Yeah,
Dude,
they have
African
some
food.
exotic meats?
Oh, that may have been the best meal I had.
What'd you have? Steak?
The African food at Disney World.
The African
Really?
food in Animal Kingdom specifically was
Okay.
off the charts. Like you know, Mickey and Donald are dressed like in safari outfits and stuff like that. And you're eating like spicy chicken with rice and plantains. You know, African food's got a little bit of a Caribbean kind of feel to it, but spicier with different fantastic.
Cool.
Polynesian, I wouldn't stay there again. Food sucks at the Polynesian.
I feel
Mai
like
Tais were pretty good though. Mai Tais were pretty good. The food was terrible. Big
All right.
disappointment.
we'll talk more when Steven comes on.
Yeah. Steven is I hung out with him. I was drinking
No. I know.
He's a Disney expert. Don't talk to me. I mean, he's the guy. But you know, those are some thoughts. Got to belong Disney. Some racket they got going on there. They got $14 turkey legs, $15 popcorns, $300 princess dresses, and that was the cheap one.
Is this like a must-own stock for
That's amazing.
parents? Like even in the chat right now, how do you, if you're a parent and you have this kind of experience, how do you not go home and buy this stuff?
Man.
Right?
You got to own the stock. You got to own the stock. And honestly, you know, it reiterated the Republicans hate it. You know, I've got some conspiracy theorists here in my neighborhood. They're like, you're going to Disney with how woke they are? Like, right? And then I'm getting text messages like from some people and they're like, oh my God, they have parades every day. What are they even celebrating?
You know, don't look now, but this is a sweet base in Disney and it's trading right around VWAP from the prior cycle highs.
Hey now. Why don't you mark up that chart? We'll talk about it now. Why don't you hit that bumper there, Spencer? Let's get into
Bang
it.
that bumper.
Bang it.
He's ready.
All right, we got the Dow futures down 200 this morning. That's about 0.5%, 43,100 and change. S&P 500 futures down 20 bips. That's just under 6,000. Nasdaq 100 flat, 21,600, just below that. 30-year bond futures down 0.25%, down to 114. Crude oil down 0.5%, still at that 69 level. Boy, does crude love that 69. Copper up a little bit, just a smidge this morning at 410. Gold down 50 basis points, 26.30. Silver up almost a full percent at 30.25, with the volatility index up to 19. Over in funny money land, Bitcoin all the way down below 95,000, down 0.25% on the day. Ethereum 3,300 up almost a full percent. Solana up 60 bips all the way down to 181. Binance 677, a 4% and change on the day. Total crypto market cap, Mr. Spencer Israel, 3.2 trillion, well off the highs. How do we feel about this morning's futures?
Yeah, you missed an interesting week, right? We had
I was paying attention.
Okay, maybe you didn't miss it per se, but we missed you.
I wasn't dead. I mean, you know.
Okay, that's fair. You weren't dead. You were still on the grid.
I may have gotten the Little Mermaid ride 11 times, but there was plenty of time to check what the market was doing. 11 times for the Little Mermaid ride.
So yeah, you know, it was a good week for the dollar, right? And a bad week for what? Everything else, pretty much, more or less.
Was it? Strazza, what are your thoughts on all of this? In terms of the biggest themes from last week, it wasn't bonds. We can't say that bonds getting destroyed was the biggest theme, or would you say it's more of a Bitcoin? What do you think was the biggest thing?
I think we have to make as big of a deal about this resolution as we've talked about it being for 2 years now.
Which resolution is this?
Throw up the US dollar index. There are failed breakouts everywhere. The list of industry groups and just stock market indexes that have now made no progress since the election, it's the majority at this point, right? So that list continues to grow. But I think this is, you know, front and center. This is the top data point for the bears right now. Been watching this range for 2 years now. And the dollar hasn't really been a tailwind. It hasn't really been a headwind. Risk asset markets have been just fine with the dollar ranging here. Now you're going to have a resolution. We're going to look at this and say the primary trend is now higher for dollars. I think we're going to say the same about interest rates at this point. New highs there as well across the board. If dollars moving higher into year end or for the next couple of months or quarters, what are stocks doing? Probably not trending as well as they were when we were in this range.
Does anybody find it hilarious that interest rates have gone straight up since they started lowering interest rates?
I think hilarious is a strong word.
Is it? What's not hilarious about it?
For some people, it would be concerning, right?
Yeah, but we only care about ourselves. We don't care about those people.
Show JC the EFA.
Yeah, this is a selfish endeavor. I'm not worried about those kind of people. You don't think it's hilarious that interest rates have gone straight up since they started lowering interest rates? You don't find that funny?
Well, we talked about that. We talked about that at the time.
Yeah, but it's continued.
Right.
It's not like, oh, interest rates started going up the day, literally to the day that they started lowering interest rates. They have continued to do that. Interest rates have continued to go up as your Federal Reserve has continued to lower interest rates.
JC, do you remember this time? Late 2021, early 2022. I remember being in San Francisco giving a 2-hour presentation. I must have said top 100 times.
Yeah.
The tops everywhere. They all look like this.
Yeah, it's a good chart. It's a good chart there, Strazza.
Same time, same place, same duration. Sure looks like distribution. We're getting oversold. The list of these patterns that look to be valid is growing overseas. And then you think of that chart that we just showed with, DXY resolving its range higher. One goes up, the other one goes down. That makes sense.
How do we feel about whipsaw hunting season? We hunt in wabbits. Wascally wabbits it's my favorite. It's the most glorious time of the year for whipsaws. We see it all the time. Some weird things happen over the next week, my friends. Weird things.
Yeah, I think you're going to see some shaky moves here.
Shaky, right? Definitely.
And there is a lot of damage to repair. If you think about it, JC, the past 3 weeks now have been terrible for the overall market for most stocks, right? A lot of that has been disguised by the large cap averages, like these cap weighted indexes.
Rotation into high beta has, right?
That's been, the speculative growth, has been a corner that's really held up. The mega cap growth has been a corner that's really held up, right? But for the most part, breadth has been terrible in December. So I think we're in this like possible reset mode here, where there could be a tradable low and a nice move, and there is a lot of damage to now repair. A lot of these election gaps already filled and out of the way now. I don't know. I think we're building a foundation for a nice move, but we got to see it at this point because the Bears have been in control of the tape all month.
Let's get into this Disney situation. I think it's worth talking about because
do we have the chart?
I mean, it reminds me a lot of the Tesla situation, right? What do they say? Yeah. Tesla just owned the libs. Is that what they say? Isn't that what the kids say? Own the libs.
Tesla has more of a cult behind it than any other stock this side of my.
Yeah, you go to Disney and tell me that's not a cult.
Oh, there are there are definitely some.
You're telling me Tesla's a cult and Disney isn't? You're crazy, bro. You clearly don't have kids yet, but you're on your way. God bless.
I think Tesla's more of a cult.
Yeah. I don't know. I actually don't know. Any parents want to weigh in here? They got some Strazza, bro. I'm not like it is. You want to talk about cults? Like they got like satanic, right? Don't they? Right? My understanding from the Republicans, they have some like satanic situation there. These
why are you so obsessed with these stories? These like fringe.
They tell me the stories. They're like, JC, you can't take your kids to Disney because of these satanic pedophiles and blah 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 blah. It's like, bro, like really? Like my kids are loving it. It's fantastic. I mean, yeah, there's some strange people walking around, but as opposed to what? New York? Like, you don't got strange people in New York? It's all good.
Oh god. All right, here, throw up this Disney. I like this look at it. This pattern continues to prove itself worthy, especially in like the blue chip mega cap space, right? Betting against the resolutions of these bearish patterns and some of the biggest stocks in the world continues to work. I've been looking at Pfizer and thinking, boy, that's just like Disney lately. And when you zoom in on Disney, I think it looks even sweeter. This is the same pattern. This is the same pattern we've been buying.
Is this $200 billion American institution about to complete a massive top in the middle of a bull market?
They drink blood?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what the Republicans tell me.
Wow.
The Republicans are in the know. They're in the know. No, but seriously, can you throw up that Tesla chart?
I'm not sure what being an American institution has to do with anything, but
the fact that it's a $200 billion American institution, this is a Steve Strazza-ism, you know?
Great American brand. Great American brand. Stamp it. Great American brand. Probably not a top.
I'm long. I'm just saying I don't know what being a great American brand has to do with anything in the context
it's
of
just something that Steve Strazza talks about, and this
great
is
American brand. You don't bet against the American consumer, Spencer.
Yeah, and you know what I really like about it? Like Tesla, people get really angry about it. They're like, "Oh, I would never let my kids watch Disney. Oh my God, the pedophiles and the satanic and the oh my God, they're so woke and Snow White's not even white and right, like all these things that like bother people. Love that. Same thing with the Elon. Like the libs got so owned. You know that Tesla returned more shareholder value than any company in the world in the back half of 2024. Like. Talk about owning the libs. Like Elon just ripped it. And I mean, the title of our trade post in June was long Tesla, long Elon. And I underestimated just how much the Elon Trump bromance would like add to that. Like I didn't even realize that part. It was just kind of common sense to me to just go very aggressive. This is like that. Like people get the libs were very upset about the Tesla situation, and the Republicans are not very thrilled with the Disney sitch. I'm telling you.
Is anybody having a better year than Elon Musk?
No. Well,
I'm sure we'll find somebody.
Palantir is the best stock in the S&P.
Michael Saylor's having a pretty good year.
True.
Who had a good year?
Michael Saylor. Had a pretty good year.
Michael Saylor, yeah. No, that's a good point. Yeah. Spencer's
this Tesla chart, really nice.
Yeah, Spencer Israel, great year. Michael Saylor, great year. Elon Musk, excellent year. Orange Julius, Time Magazine Man of the Year.
Orange.
Right? Rest in peace, Ricky Henderson, man. That's a bummer.
Yeah, that was
sorry to be a downer, but he was one of my favorite players growing up, man.
Yeah.
BlackBerry. Yeah, those calls paid. Some of these meme stocks are working, guys.
I'm not getting anything from you guys on this Disney thing. You guys you're just kind of like, yeah, whatever. JC is one of JC's crazy thoughts. No,
we like it, but how much more do you want to talk about Disney?
I think Disney is in my like never sell sleeve. As long as people are having kids.
Spencer loves Disney, and he doesn't even have kids. He's like such a bull.
Yeah, he's one of those satanic people.
That's right. That's right.
Can we throw slide 6, please? This is a good one. So mathematically, you cannot have a bear market or a correction of any kind without the prices of stocks falling.
Oh, right? Come on. We got some high readings here, JC.
3 month lows. 3 months.
Screw you. Stop. You should show the 1 month first. Start at 1 month.
3 month lows.
Got some very high readings.
1 month lows.
SMH, man.
Throw the 1 month lows up. But here's the 3 month lows. And we haven't gotten any expansion at all, regardless of where you go down the cap scale. So, again, for it to be a market correction, a bear market, you need the prices of stocks falling. We're still not getting an expansion in 3 month lows. You don't have to be mad at me.
I'm not mad, but
it's just a mouse. It's just a mouse and a duck and whatever Goofy is.
Do you think it would be fair now in this moment to show the 1 month lows? Typically, you would start there, right?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. I mean, you could do the 1 day lows, 1 week lows. You could do whatever you want. I'm just telling you. 3 months is like a good period. 1 quarter, right? You don't think this is a good period?
You know how we do this. We start with
right. So do it. Throw with the 1 month lows. Fine. I'm just telling you. I'm looking at the 3 month lows. This is a chart of 3 month lows in the S&P 500 large caps, the 400 mid caps, and the 600 small caps. And we still have not gotten an expansion of stocks making new lows. That's it. That's all I'm saying. You don't have to get upset about it.
No one's upset.
Do you think Disney's too woke? Are you one of those?
No, I'm all for it. Great American brand. I'm a Florida man. We root for Disney.
Do you?
Yeah.
Is that like a Florida thing? Because I'm from Miami, so I'm not from Florida. So it's hard for me to.
True.
The Keys are more Florida than Miami.
I mean, Disney's surely one of the larger employers in the state.
Yeah. Isn't like NEE the largest employer in the state? And aren't they?
It'd be the same thing as liking General Electric when you're from Connecticut many years ago. What's the problem with that? Rooting for oil and gas stocks if you're from Texas. Rooting for the big banks that all of your friends' fathers worked for growing up if you grew up in the tri-state. You know what I mean? Like it's all the same. So
no, that's a good point. My friends' families were not in the market. I do want to say something before we bring on Mr. Weitzel. Do we have Kenny in the house today?
We should. We don't at the moment, but we will.
He's busy running the Rigetti.
So
yeah, right.
So last night I went through all 30 Dow components one by one.
Oh, there he is.
I would highly encourage anybody who takes their portfolio seriously to do the same thing. It's only 30 stocks. It's not that hard.
You like Pfizer here, don't you? It's not in the Dow anymore.
Thanks. I went through all 30 Dow components yesterday. Pfizer not in the Dow. Amgen is. And I also went through all 20 trannies as well.
I'd rather watch paint dry than look at that universe of stocks.
Which one? The trannies or the industrials?
All 50. Ugh. Boring.
So Amazon, Nvidia, Salesforce, Home Depot, none of these you're not entertained. Microsoft.
Imagine the Dow just a couple of years ago when it had just Apple and Microsoft and none of the other Mag 7s.
I can tell you for a fact, anybody listening out there, Steve Strazza is embarrassing himself right now. I would highly encourage you, just because he doesn't do this.
Could you find a group of people that could pick stocks worse than like the Dow Jones?
That's not the point. That's not the point. If you get the Dow right, you're going to get the market right.
That's nice, Harmon. Yeah.
That's not what?
No, maybe. It's always been that way, but boy, the index just keeps getting worse and worse.
Can you throw up slide 2, please?
I like Pfizer too, Billy. Pfizer's looking spicy. 6% something yield. It's probably going to come down.
You're telling me about how boring some of these stocks are. You're talking about Pfizer. We're sitting here talking about practice.
Dude, you can get Pfizer.
No, I know. I'm with you, bro. I'm just breaking balls. I mean, if you're saying like against those spring lows,
the more you zoom out, the better it looks. But yeah.
No, I'm with you. I like that trade.
All right. We have Kenny here.
Can we talk about Kenny? Can wait 1 second. Can we talk about this? These are the last 40 years, S&P and Dow Industrials.
Also, it goes back further than that. I mean, these
it does. It goes back a lot further. I figured 40 years was enough.
This chart, I don't know what to make of this chart, because on the one hand, it's hard to argue with the correlation. On the other, it doesn't mean anything going forward necessarily,
doesn't it?
And they're so different from a construction standpoint. So I don't really know what to think about this.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what to think about it. They're the same, right? So if you get the 30 right, you're gonna get the 500 right. If you get the 30 wrong, you're gonna get the 500 wrong. That's just what it is.
It's a cheat code, Spencer. However,
it's a cheat code. You remember like warp zones, like in Nintendo, like you go through the warp zone. This is like one of those.
But you will admit that if you were to zoom in on this kind of chart, there are massive performance gaps. We just had one.
Yeah.
So the NASDAQ 100 is up like crazy, and the S&P 500 up like crazy, and the Dow looks more like the Russell 2000.
Yeah, and I'm not comparing the NASDAQ to the Dow. They're very, very different, right? The NASDAQ is 50% technology, right?
You're talking about using this for information, broad market information. It's excellent.
You want to know the direction of the market? Look at these 30 damn stocks. It's not that hard. It takes you 2 seconds.
What it doesn't suggest, though, is that the Dow should be your vehicle to express some sort of thesis on it.
No, that's spot on. Spot on. I'm more interested in the 30 components themselves than I am about the index itself.
Yeah. Billy just nailed it, though. I'd rather own Pfizer than bonds. It's one of those things. I'm in the leaps in the common. Hey, you're probably getting 5%.
What does one have to do with the other, though?
You would want to think of it as like a bond.
Like you wake up in the morning and be like, which one should I buy, Pfizer or bonds?
I've been adding a little defense here. I'm noticing a little bit of defense this month.
No,
We'll see.
fine, but like, it's like, oh, I don't know. It's like, should I have a ribeye or cheesecake? It's like, well, what does one have to do with the other?
No,
By the way, the cheesecake at Cinderella's
just-
Castle, they actually shape it like cheese.
Yeah, but JC, once these blue chip stocks start offering high yields like this, don't they become treasury alternatives? Don't money managers think of a 5% from Verizon or Pfizer or Johnson & Johnson if it gets, you know what I mean? Much
Well,
like
it's hard to group money managers all together. So, especially if you're looking at an equities manager, then bonds are not even an option, right? So this would have to be like a hedge fund sort of situation, in which case potentially.
I would think of, so I'm not a money manager, but if I was, I would think of income. I would think of it as income investing, right? And it's all the same category. All the stuff with a yield, right? Yeah, no, they're income instruments. So I don't know. I think they become alternatives.
Billy wants a place to park cash, and park it in cash. What are you getting? You're getting 5%, 4.5%. What are you getting?
I think that's dumb.
That's done.
Dumb. They don't want to be in cash right now. Yeah.
And if you want to park something in cash, to go to cash.
I think there's still too many good opportunities out there to be parking money in cash.
Oh, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying if you want to park money in cash, then why don't you just park it in cash? Why do you got to buy Pfizer? If you want to buy Pfizer, buy Pfizer. If you want to park your money in cash, then park the money in damn cash. All right, let's bring Kenny in.
All right, I'm bringing Kenny on, and then we're bringing on Stephen Weitzel. Let's do this.
It's been a long time coming. They ain't come for my club, they tugging. Putting up numbers, 99 pounds, and I still kept it 100. Hold up. Yeah.
Wait, Kenny, your camera's off.
Kenny, come on in. First
There we go.
timer, Kenny.
Oh,
Oh, ho, ho, ho.
Where to begin? What up, boys?
tell us
You
about the
missed me?
day you had. Was it Thursday or Friday? I don't remember anymore.
Can we start with Glick's Picks 16 parlay?
If we wear the hats, Kenny, will we bring the Santa Claus
You know
rally?
16 parlay. Lay it on me. 16 parlay. Let's go. Lay it on me.
Oh, well, my boy hit a parlay. He only had to go 7 for 7, but it was so bizarre about these first-time scorers. It was a $150 bet. He won $30K, which I don't think I've seen anything like that before. Bugging out. He could have cashed out for $8,000. He went for it. He wound up winning $30,000. My son and I, we just took all the favorites in the college sports, and of course, we bet against the Jets and the Giants, and we hit the 6-teamer. So yeah,
Attaboy.
yeah. My son's we're all gamblers now. It's absurd. Yeah. So now I got to start getting them up and start trading with me. So let's talk about what happened. I'm going to show you a chart quickly. Here's the QQQ chart. Let's get right into it. You guys see my charts? See that? You see the red line on the bottom? That's a print from, I believe, November 29th. And that was 305.30 on the Qs. Okay, what you're seeing in the middle there is the orange line. That is the 30-day hourly multi-day VWAP. So we call that the multi-day VWAP. We finally got some volatility in the market. After the 539 call, which was spiritual at this point, that we called the high of the QQQ's entire move from August. Our target was 539. We didn't expect the 20-point sell-off on the Fed, but we got it. But then the volatility kicked in. Now, again, ladies and gentlemen, if you were listening to me in the morning shows, after a big volatile day, the next day, if they gap up the market, there's residual selling and the market's susceptible to more selling. That's what we got on Thursday. We sold that. That usually begets a gap down Friday, which is where we were looking for it to retest the lows from November, where we got pre-market. And that's when we decided, hey, we already won. So let's go and cover. Let's start covering right before they announced that economic wonderful data. Here's the 8:30 move. And then by 8:45, we were all but done with the QQQ short. And then we started investigating going long. So with UVXY being your number one tool, look at what happened at 8:30 after the economic data release. That candle says, bull market on, baby. Bull market on. So we went from being aggressively short to aggressively long. And again, we had to wait for the options to open up. We started buying some of the rigatonis and all that other quantum name. But this QQQ trade was phenomenal. And we came in a little late because we had to wait for this chop to get over with. And then at about, I think it was 9:45, 10 o'clock, we started buying the 5/16s for 80 cents. Sadly, started selling them at $1.20 to $1.80, but sold some at $2.50, $3.50, $4.50, $5.50. And then at $5.39, as a goof, we sold the rest of them because I was like, that's too spiritual. Let's start selling at $5.39 because that was the high. We left another 4 points on the table. But this is the greatest action I have seen in the end of December in a very, very long time. And I keep thinking that we're going to have a boring day. These are not boring days, my friends. And I hope you guys are enjoying what we're laying down for you in the chat room. And if you got my email on Friday morning, read that email. We're covering at the open. And what a day it was.
Kenny crushing it as always. So keep on keeping on, man.
Yeah, let me show you a little bit about what's going on today. So look, we just tried to sell off, and the buyers are still here at that pre-market level. But more importantly, rigatoni. I know you guys were charting it.
I knew it.
This stock just went from 52-week high to basically giving back 50% to being back to a possible blue sky breakout. So, my friends, don't get in the way of this. Don't get in the way of this stock. It's so much easier. I think JC said it. He probably said it the best. Short stocks when they're going down, buy them when they go up. It really is that simple. Do not, again, as the bear here, I was dying to short these stocks. You waited 2 days. The momentum to the downside was there, but once it turns, you got to get out of its way. So if you're going to get in the way of these stocks, if you're dying to short them, and again, most of these stocks will roll over 50% again. Some will go away forever. Short them when they go down. Don't get in the way on the way up. So if this thing holds 12, let alone, if it holds 11.35, you're looking at $15 on the stock. And if it gets into the 15s, you're going to be talking about $20 stock here on a one. This thing was 35 cents just 3 months ago. So be careful, but it is what it is. They're They're rocking.
All right. Kenny's kicking ass and taking names in his trading room. Hitthebid.com, where you should go. You want to get more of this.
Careful.
All right.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Hey, Kenny. All right, let's bring on whoops, what happened to my let's bring on we got Weitzel in the house. JC, is that true?
Yeah, I just had some beverages with Stephen Weitzel at the Polynesian. I want to hear his thoughts. I wouldn't stay there again. I mean, it was fine. Food sucks. It's unacceptable.
Let's see what he thinks.
Yeah. Jay, we've been friends for a long time. Make the call.
I mean, this is pretty professional, guys.
Nice show you got going here.
Mr. Weitzel.
What's up, buddy?
What's up, my man? Good to see you down in Orlando.
I know. You bounced a little earlier than I would have wanted you to. But I guess you had enough, right?
I was there a long time. How's that tour? That tour thing? Have you done that before, or you do it all the time?
That was my first time with one of those, and shout out to my buddy Tim who hooked me up with that. But there isn't a whole lot better way to try to do Disney than that. In 7 hours, we rode 12 of the best rides that they had across 3 parks. Ended up.
Which are the 3 parks?
We started at Epcot, then went to Hollywood Studios, and ended at Magic Kingdom, and ended up in this this VIP place for the fireworks show. It was incredible.
And then what's the food sitch for these tours?
You only stop to eat if you're going to stop to eat. So we ate before.
So you eat before and then go 7 hours hard.
Oh yeah. Yeah. 23,000 steps that afternoon.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Pearls approves.
Perlman program approved. Dude, the Perlman program, Disney with kids is like Soul Perlman program. It's crazy.
100%.
I mean, 100%. That is some workout, bro. That is some workout.
I did a little screen grab for Phil, shot it to him, showed him the step count, right? He sent back, a little fist bump. So
dude, I've been on the phone with people and people giving Phil Perlman shout outs. If you are not on the Perlman program, highly encourage you to get involved.
Shout out Phil.
Stephen Weitzel, looking good.
Thank you,
good, buddy.
I'm trying.
Good. Proud of you. All right. Polynesian food sucks.
Yeah, I'll say that. So there's parts of Ohana that I think's okay. I told you, I think the chicken is okay.
I And of all the characters, it's a Moana themed hotel, and they don't even bring Moana; they bring Lilo and freaking Stitch.
Lilo and
That's
Stitch,
weak
yeah.
sauce.
Well, that's the OG Hawaiian themed Disney show, right?
Yeah, but it sucks.
Well, I mean, listen,
bring Moana and Maui. What are we doing here?
They may
maybe
do
a little,
that.
maybe mix in a little hey, maybe a little pool.
That new Poly Tower that they're building. Maybe you'll find some of that in there.
No, I think you're probably right. It looks pretty sick. I hear the place is awesome.
So
and the food, how bad could it be? You're paying $2,500 a night. The food better be fucking awesome.
Well, I'm sure you left something on your comment card.
No. Who has time for that with as many kids as I have? You like the Disney Long? You like that trade? I mean, after
I love it. Yeah, I've been in it since about '89. So
not 1989. The
not
price
1989. No. And I am going to have to say, Spencer made a comment about how Disney's on his never sell list. We need to talk to him.
I know. I cringed when I heard him say that. I cringed too.
Yeah.
He's always talking about this never sell list.
Yeah. We can't have
never
a
sell
never
list,
sell list, Spencer.
Yeah.
It's small. It's small. Don't worry.
It should be zero.
Yeah,
right?
It should be zero. It sounds like it's a communist thing to say.
We're not going to be supportive of that.
Hand up.
Hold on.
We're not going to be supportive of that.
Hold on. I'm glad you're both here. So you have kids trips to Disney, but somehow you two men coordinate a mandate at Epcot so you guys could.
It wasn't at
Epcot. No, it wasn't at Epcot.
Drink Heffenweisers together. How did you guys pull this off?
He went to Polynesian where I was staying, so I met him at the bar after the kids went down.
It was just a coincidence.
Yeah, well, I knew
we have these things called cell phones,
right? Yeah, like I reached out to him. I knew he was coming back.
Okay.
For me, I was still down there by myself at that point in time. I had been walking around Epcot, hanging out. Caught the monorail back over there. Hung out at the bar, waited for him to get back. Chopped it up a little bit. Yeah.
Disney date,
nice. Amongst men.
I had a Mai Tai. He had a Diet Coke, which I thought was weird. But, you know.
Again, Pearls approved.
Yeah. All right. So, Stephen Weitzel, for those who don't know, Stephen Weitzel, absolutely crushing him, my man. We love to see our friends doing well. What does the ADV say on your AUM these days?
Let's just keep it at 1.2 for right now.
1.2 billion for right now. Sounds to me like that number is going to be upped when the next filing comes in.
Could be. Could be.
Nice. I mean, it's a lot of money, Mr. Weitzel. It's not nothing.
No, it's not nothing. We're just getting started though.
Oh, I know how you roll, my friend. Started. I know how you roll. But it's $1 billion. It's not nothing. So like, we're 2 years into two straight years of just killer years. One of the best back-to-back periods for the S&P 500 in terms of years of all time, right? I think there's only maybe 4 or 5 other back-to-back years that were better in the history of the stock market. So pretty damn good for the repeat. The Chicago Bulls won 3 in a row, twice.
UConn Huskies are about to.
Here we go. Do you think that we can see a third? Can we see a number 3? Are we going to have another year like the last 2 years, Mr. Weitzel? You think that's even possible?
Well, you can't rule anything out, but you got to put me in the skeptical category about the direction of these large cap U.S. equities. Steve was hinting at it a little bit. You see, if this is a market of stocks, and it is, you go one by one. I know you said you just did the industrials and the transports, but there are a lot of patterns out there that are not constructive. And one of the things I remember when we were in Chicago, we were talking about this, how we're up against technology on a relative basis, approaching that .com bubble high. We had the Russell coming in to retest its former high from 2021, and where it looked like maybe we were going to get a breakout there. I mean, that has unwound quickly. And so I think I think we need to be very measured about how much risk we're assuming right now.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned, anytime that we see rates up right now in the market is going to be a headwind.
Yeah. I agree. There's too many bullish pattern failures out here right now.
It's not good. And so many people want to be bulled up about where the market is going. And it's surprising that, again, some of the headline indices, they look okay, but again, they're propped up by these mega cap tech names. And really outside, I mean, you've had some decent moves in Apple. Google had good earnings. But Tesla has been driving the bus, basically. Amazon's obviously done okay, but a lot
driving
of
the bus. I see what you did there, driving the bus.
Yeah, that's right.
And Strazza, you don't put gasoline in the bus; you put fuel.
Driving the fuel,
right?
You put fuel, not gasoline, because gasoline is
diesel.
Combustible.
That's right.
Right, Steven?
We had a little lesson, right?
I didn't know the difference. I was like, "Oh, how much does that gas cost?" He's like, "We call it fuel."
Yeah, it's fuel. Nobody. Hey, you don't want to be on a boat that takes gasoline either, right? That's just a small little prop, right? You want a boat that's large enough that requires diesel.
Listen, if we have to call, if it's so small that we have to call it a boat, I don't even want to be on it, right? We only do yachts around here.
But
there's less than 2 bathrooms. We're not getting on it.
But I am concerned about the level of distribution that you see name by name, and in some of the areas that look like they really could take the baton and run. Energy, right? Like I thought Exxon looked great breaking out above 120.
Yep.
Absolute failure there.
Yep.
Down 15%.
Yeah, but I mean,
Chevron's down 20 points in 2 weeks.
But I mean, think about, and this has kind of been quiet, but Nvidia was off 10% from its high, and like nobody was making any noise about that.
We've been buying it hand over fist. Do you think this top fails? Throw up the Nvidia bonds. Why wouldn't this one go on to look more like the other Mag 7s?
I mean, it could. I mean, all I'm saying is, and I want to make this one comment JC had when he had the Dow and the S&P up there, and how these charts are basically the same. That's kind of the Markowitz modern portfolio theory hypothesis, is that if you have a collection of stocks and they're all large cap US stocks, that in the long run their return is going to be approximately the same thing. Right. But if we're seeing failures with the preponderance of these names, and we're seeing more breakdowns than breakouts, then how long can we reasonably expect this narrow market to continue? That there are going to have to be some chinks in the armor, even in the Mag 7, right? We had gotten down to like the Mag 2.
Yeah.
Right. And then Tesla started taking off, and we saw some of those names get some bids. Steve, I know you and I were talking about window dressing.
What are your thoughts on that? We've been talking a lot about this. We had Blake Millard on, gave us kind of his take on it last week.
I mean, it's absolutely a real thing for the benchmarked money managers out there that, and, to me, I think that there are a lot of them in the growth camp that for the last couple of years, maybe they benefited by the fact that they did not own Tesla or didn't have a benchmark weighting in Tesla. That has come back to bite them in the back half of this year. And so there's a rush to own it. I know you and I were talking about that name specifically. And since we've gotten back above those former highs, we're back above 400. I do think that this is where, if you're in the stock, you've got to be managing risk here, and I think you need to be alert for a potential failed breakout.
We're sitting here talking about how all of these patterns are failing, right? And Tesla's sitting there right on the edge,
right on the edge,
very vulnerable to looking like all the others and failing this breakout.
So I did write long-term calls.
Yeah, I love that.
I wrote December 25 700s and got $67.
Wow. Are you
Yeah.
serious?
Yeah.
The volatility
Wow.
in this name for such a large market cap stock is insane. It's up over 100%.
And also this, he's taking advantage of the skew because the price of these calls is at historic levels compared to the price of the puts. So there's that.
The time premium in there.
See, that's your SAT word of the day there, Strazza.
Skew.
But so to me, the risk here is going to be that if we break back below 400, and so this is going to be one where the bulls, they're going to have to defend that level vigorously. So if that one fails, we're gonna have some problems. But ironically, even though this window dressing thing is real, you've got managers that have got to have quote unquote winning trades on the books for their Q4 prints. They want to get rid of some losers. So there's probably some, some tax loss harvesting opportunities out there and some of these losers that could mean revert early next year. But one of the things that I'm focused on right now, as nasty as this tape has been in December, and for me, this is one of the worst Decembers that I can remember as far as market action is concerned, outside of a handful of names. But I'm trying to focus on what are the areas of the market that are hanging in there that are not the Qs, right? Not the Mag 7. And it's very limited. But some of them are in kind of one of these, what I would consider a tax loss basket, something like Estee Lauder. But one of the model positions that we have are emerging market equities. It's still green for the month. And
EEM.
No, we're not in EEM. We're in JEMA. It's a JP Morgan product, so it's actively managed, right? But it's still green for the month. But even if you were looking at EEM, the fact that EM is down, it's down, 2.29% for the month. Even though it's down, I don't consider that to be terrible. The Dow's down 4.6%. S&P's down 168.
It's China. EEM looks a lot better than EMXC right now.
Yeah, because China's held in okay.
Yeah.
So that is a noteworthy change in my opinion.
Yeah.
And there could be.
But the fact that China's doing its own thing shouldn't be surprising, considering it's been doing its own thing. Like, it sucked when everything else was doing great. Now it's holding in pretty good when other things are sucking.
Yeah, because India looks more like developed Europe than Southeast Asia.
Yeah, and so, but I think, that it's notable that the areas that everybody has wanted to stay away from, and now they have all these, these fundamental reasons for wanting to continue to avoid investing in China.
Yeah.
The fact that you have price behavior that is not confirming that, to me, is material. So you've got the window dressing where I think you've got some chasing into some of these high beta names, but the fact that you have EM hanging in there as well as it has this month, to me, it may be one of those things that, don't do as I say, right? Do as I do. And I think that people are leaving tracks in EM.
You think even with the dollar breaking out, though, emerging markets are a place that could catch some flows?
Ordinarily, right, I would agree with you, Steve, that would, if you have any sort of a longer term chart, dollar EM, they're almost perfectly negatively correlated. And right now I don't have any exposure to developed international, and no exposure to developed international. And
so it's a 2-year weekly closing high for the dollar index. Do you think that this is it? You think the dollar breaks off from here? You really believe that?
Well, if we're north of, I mean, what was the level? Like 105, right? North of 105,
it's not the cleanest, but it's
well, let's call it 107, right? If this sustains and we see 115, I mean,
stocks go down in that environment, correct?
I would think so. Yeah. I would think so.
But you're not, but then stocks have absolutely ripped over the last, from October and November. Stocks did great. Dollar ripped in that environment.
Yeah, true. Well, so I feel like you had some disparity post-election, right? And to me, a lot of the things that were really moving the market post-election have been some of the biggest failures. Banks, small caps,
Bitcoin.
I mean, Bitcoin is ripped, right? But
it's come off. I mean, we're off what, 12, 13,000 points from the top?
Yeah, I guess so. But I'm not a crypto guy, so I'm not gonna opine.
What is a crypto guy? I mean, you're an earthling, you're a financial advisor, you're a market participant, I mean, you're not like you're not like this like weirdo under a rock. Like, you're not dumb. So how does someone like yourself, who calls themselves not a crypto guy, where does the Bitcoin ETF fall in your entire process, or does it not exist at all?
Well, I mean, it's not an exposure that I have, right? But it's something that I can follow.
You know what he likes, Strazza? He likes our sector rotation model that has Bitcoin as the 12th sector. He likes that. You like that, right?
Could be an idea. It could be an idea.
Yeah, he likes that. He likes the breakout multiplier too.
Will you dabble with some of the crypto
These are
stocks?
the things we were talking about in our mandate. We were talking about breakout multiplier.
That's right, Steve. We're going to fill you in when necessary.
I was jealous. I had FOMO that you guys were hanging out without me. But
it wasn't that exciting. Dude was drinking a Diet Coke.
Listen, I got to be very rigid, right? Phil gave me very specific instructions.
He's killing it. Yeah, leave him alone.
So
great. It's promo programming.
But listen, I want to go back to this idea that I feel like a lot of people are bullish. They want to be bullish on where the market is headed.
Yeah.
That you ask most people, if they think the market should do good or bad going forward, they're going to tell you right now they think it should do well.
Yeah.
They can't come up with a reason. They can't articulate a reason why the market would go down.
Well, since the election, it's felt like a giant rug pull in the equity market. Everybody piled in. Everybody all of a sudden turned bullish, and then failed breakouts across the board.
Yeah, and I'm telling it's such a bad setup. And I go back to me the two pillars here: technology relative, and then you had a retest in the Russell, and an opportunity to break out would have been really strong.
Yeah,
and I think you would have seen a lot more rotation if that would have happened. The fact that it failed. Now, don't get me wrong. I still like smalls on a relative basis, but I just think that the setup here is one that people need to be careful. They need to be careful.
What about bonds? Can we talk about bonds? Now Strazza is all about the bond market now. Can we talk about, what do you think, Stephen, about the fact that interest rates have gone straight up since your Federal Reserve decided to start lowering interest rates?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many occurrences that we have historically where we've seen that happen. I know, I was reading some stuff from our friend Larry McDonald on this, back maybe a month ago. And it was, after after a 50 basis point cut that we had in September, that there are a couple of examples historically of that where you would see the 10-year trade higher, that it doesn't start to move lower.
Yeah.
But it was only a short-term phenomenon, and that within, a handful of weeks that you started to see those 10-year yields decline.
It's the opposite now. It's continued even more.
It's the opposite now. And so I think we're in a brave new world out there right now where a lot of the things that investors used to rely on in terms of whatever direction the Fed is moving short-term rates, that you would expect to see maybe out the yield curve that it's going to move in a similar direction. That isn't happening. And so all we know is right now that sellers are in charge. TLT needs,
sellers are in charge of the bond market.
Yes.
Or sellers are in charge of the stock market, you think?
Both right now.
Yeah, I'd say both right now. But
hold on, do you pay attention to the Fed fund futures at all anymore? I just feel like they've been such bad information. Now we got bond market basically saying we could see some hikes next year, and the Fed fund future market just continues to get every move wrong.
Yeah. So to me, I've never paid attention to the Fed fund futures, or maybe I did a long time ago when I was new. But
S&P's down less than 3% off its highs. You think sellers are in control of this market?
They've been controlling the tape. The Dow was down for like 12 straight days. So
but listen to me. So the tell for rates is going to be, we've got to look at the yield curve. You look at the yield on the 12-month bill.
Yeah.
Right. It's a forward contract, right? So the yield on the 12-month bill is looking to predict what Fed funds rate is going to be 12 months from now.
Yeah.
And it's at like 4.25 right now. Yeah. It's bang on at 4.25, 2 years at 4.32. So the bond market is effectively saying the Fed's done, because that's where they are right now. Unless we see the 1-year yield decline, then we shouldn't expect any Fed cut or any more rate cuts. But to me, what I'm looking at here, and I think this is going to tell the tale for equities in general, right? For the broad market, is what happens with TLT. That, I would, as somebody who wants to be bullish equities, still have some long exposure to the equity market, I want to see TLT dig in right here at these May lows. Is that April, May of this year? If it can hold in right here, I mean, I'm looking at a daily chart. Do you have a daily TLT chart, Spencer?
I got it.
Yeah, this is a huge level. I'm with you.
If we can dig in here, bullish divergence in momentum,
not oversold. Yeah.
Right. Then now my system here, I'm looking at, I think it avoided oversold conditions on this most recent pullback.
Yeah, I think so.
So that's maybe one feather in the
it did not. Cap. It did not avoid it.
That, for me, that's not.
I mean,
what did it get to?
Yeah, when you're that close, you don't count it in my book.
No, it dipped below. It hit 29.96.
Yeah, nope.
Come on.
I need more than that.
I swear to God, I'm looking at it.
I hear you. I see it. Not oversold.
That's around. Okay, it did hit 29.96. Okay, but that's.
So isn't that oversold?
That's that was on the. What day is that?
I think you guys are getting cute by saying it's not oversold. Let's be serious. Come on.
I know. I even
okay. How about this? Even if it qualifies as oversold,
to ignore that,
it's still a bullish divergence.
Yeah.
Right. It's small, but I'm saying if I'm trying to look for things to be constructive, then that's what I'm looking at.
On the weekly, it's nowhere. On the weekly, it's nowhere near oversold. It's right around 40, actually.
So, but we got to dig in. I mean, even if we go down and we retest the lows from 23, around 82 and 83-ish. Bro, I think there's a lot of pain between here and 83 on the TLT in the broad market. So what happens with rates, what happens out the yield curve is going to have a material impact on how equities trade.
Some groups have really held up surprisingly well, despite interest rates moving higher out here, like every day. Like speculative growth, I would not have had that in my bingo card, right? That the ARC indexes would look this way with interest rates doing what they're doing.
Okay, so so earlier when we were talking about, I want to look for the relative strength. I want to look for the things that are up, right? So, ARC's up 286 basis points month to date. Now, I think they own some Tesla, right?
Tesla, Bitcoin, and some of them, yeah.
So I'll tell you another name that I've liked and I've trimmed is the DocuSign.
Yes.
Yep. So it's probably right now, it's probably pulling back to a key fib level, right? So if you drew a fib on the DocuSign from the February 2023 highs down to the lows in October, November, 161 extension targeted about $90. So they gapped through that on that earnings release. I trimmed some up there, took half off. And so, but these are some of the names, right, Steve, that everybody was in pre-COVID or in during COVID, right? It was the DocuSigns, the Zooms.
Look at Zoom. I was just thinking about Zoom when you said
look
that.
At Zoom.
Bill.com. These are the spec tech stack stocks.
So I'll say this. Zoom looks like DocuSign did about 2 months ago.
Yeah, spicy.
Right. So what do you think about a Zoom long north of 87?
I think it's so strange that stocks like Zoom and Peloton look this good while we're talking about all the large cap sectors putting in failed breakouts and even financials and Nvidia can't break out. It's just crazy. These are the leaders right now. Stocks like Zoom.
People are rotating into them, but again, I mean, these things have gotten crushed.
100%. If you zoom out far enough, yeah.
So they almost lost 100%. That's actually
that's still sitting on 80% drawdowns. These are stocks that used to have a couple $100 billion market caps, like PayPal.
That's the speculative growth trade that Strazza's been pounding the table on. That continues to work. Doesn't seem like it doesn't seem bearish for equities if they're buying these things.
It's crazy. We just put a trade on Peloton again.
Well, so I guess the rhetorical, question to that, JC, is going to be that it's probably not bearish for equities that you're seeing some of these speculative growth names work, but they're so small now that the number of names that look like this are very few compared to the ones that look the opposite.
I also don't think that this kind of breadth dynamic, where breadth has been really bad, we're getting new short-term lows spiking to its highest level in years, and then you look around and say, oh, it's just the speculative growth stuff and a handful of mega cap tech companies that are doing well. Everything else is not working. I don't think that environment holds up. I think that's
something has to give, right?
Down to laggards type of a tape.
Something's got to give. Where are we? So there's 53% of stocks above the 200-day moving average on the NYSE. That's about as skinny as you can have it and still try to consider this a bull market. Yeah. So to me, what's going to be interesting here is that the pattern that we're looking at there, it kind of looks reminiscent to early 2018, right? So you had that big ripper spring of 2016, right? You had the double bottom in the S&Ps early that year, January, February. You ripped, had this great bull market that lasted for 2.5 years, and things started to get shaky in the spring of 2018. And that's when you started to see the percentages of stocks above their 200-day moving average dip below 50. And that was the first warning sign. So we are really close to that right now.
That's interesting. I don't look at that indicator enough anymore.
JC will bring it out as soon as the bear market is on. He's going to have it in the deck.
Oh yeah, yeah. So. No, but it's good. It's good at extremes. It's really good. Hold on. What, you got something?
I was gonna ask Weitzel one last question, but you go ahead.
No, I was gonna wrap it up. Go for it. I'll go next.
Stephen Weitzel, favorite Disney princess.
There we go.
Oh man,
it's a good question.
Tough one, huh?
Wait,
mine has changed over time, so that's acceptable as well.
Well, we need to hear yours and then Spencer's too, because I know he has.
Wow. That is tough. I'm gonna say
you don't have as much time.
I don't know. I'm gonna say I like all of them. How about that?
Oh, here we go. I used to like Princess Jasmine growing up because she was kind of like, she didn't have a lot of clothes on, so I was into that. And then we went to the mall a couple of years ago to see these Disney princesses, and like, Princess Jasmine was like all fat and like had really hairy arms, and like I was disgusted. I was appalled. So Princess Jasmine no longer my favorite. She's also much more clothed these days. I like Merida.
Who?
Merida.
The girl
Merida's
from Brave.
badass.
Oh,
yeah, from Brave.
Merida. So she's the Irish. She's the Irish one from Brave.
Got it.
Yeah.
She's a little badass. I'm into Merida. Moana's cool too.
I didn't take you for the redheads, JC.
Well, I'm not saying like how hot they are. I'm talking about just like she's just like in the movie. She's just cool.
All right.
You know?
I would just.
I'm so uncomfortable right now. I'm so uncomfortable.
Dude, watch Brave and tell me Merida's not a little badass.
I might go with Rapunzel.
We're not going to let you in the parks.
Rapunzel?
I'm going to go with Rapunzel.
Okay.
That's good. That's a good one. All right.
All right.
I am going, Stephen, on a road trip, about to leave through the great state of Florida. Should I stop in Ocala for some barbecue?
Well, it's Micanopy, right?
Yeah.
You're going to, and anybody out there listening, okay?
Yeah, that's the name of the town. Micanopy. It's exit 374. Oh, you got it down, dude.
On I-75, right?
Yeah.
You're going to go to Pearl's Barbecue or Pearl's Country Store Barbecue. I put Strazza on it.
Now we're talking.
So he tells me, he goes, you got to stop for barbecue if you're driving through. It's in Ocala and it's at a gas station. I said, done. Like 100%. When he told me it was at a gas station, that's how I knew. Dude, the barbecue is fantastic. So good.
All right, Stephen, Merry Christmas, man. Happy New Year.
Thanks, guys. Merry Christmas.
Talk to you.
All right.
Steven,
see you later, guys.
Buddy.
All right. Adios, guys.
The promo program looking good.
It really is.
Yeah.
What a guy. All right. Later, guys.
And he's gone.
All right. He's out of here.
We taught him how to do that, Spencer.
Yeah, we got Jason Purrs in the house anyway, so let's get Jason.
Go. I need a good Jason Purrs conversation.
Yeah, all right.
Wow, that Jason Purrs bumper is no joke.
It's tough, man. I love it. You guys make me look cooler than I am.
Dude, that hits really hard. I heard you were at the Ohio State tailgate on Saturday. A little birdie told me.
I was, yeah. Mr. Adam Coos, man. We hung out the other week, and then he was like, yeah, you should come down to the tailgate party. So we came out, saw him and his wife. It was a really good time, man. It's always fun. They brought a lot of food. We froze our balls off for a while, normal tailgating stuff. And then we went home and watched the game inside, and they were still outside for another 7 hours.
That was smart. That was the move. Yep.
Mr. Purrs, we got a lot to talk about, my friend. What Interest rates have absolutely been ripping since your Federal Reserve decided to start lowering interest rates, which is hilarious. The dollar potentially breaking out of this base, that can have some major implications on this market. You know, things are weird this time of year, so I don't know if I trust quote unquote breakouts as much as I would on other times of the year. I'm a little bit skeptical of this sort of action, so I'm not convinced that this is a dollar breakout. Could be. I want to hear your thoughts on all of this stuff. Am I overthinking the seasonality here? You know, how are you thinking about all of this?
So it's interesting. I was sending you the seasonality charts for the monthly conference call the other day, and I was going through the dollar. And the charts don't look that cool, so it's why I didn't include them. But it had a lot of good information. One of those things is that the dollar actually falls from right now to year end 100% of the time over the last 15 years. And that's
Hold
just
on
a very
say this again. Say this
the-
again. From
the-
now, like today,
yes.
like the 23rd.
Yes, from today. It's the last 5 trading days. So basically, the last 5 trading days of the year, the dollar falls 100% of the time over the last 15 years, which is pretty
Wow.
wild to me. And
That
just
is
this
wild.
week, yeah. And I looked at that and I was like, that's impossible, no way. And so I kept going through it and looking at it and looking at the different
Wow.
currencies, and I was like, yeah, that's actually true. So the seasonality just over the last 5 trading days. It's not the rest of the month, even though the dollar is pretty bearish the last month of the year. So it's kind of, there's 2 things to look at here, JC. One is the breakout. If it goes against seasonality, as you know, that's actually a really good sign that the dollar is strong and this breakout is real. However, looking at it and going, okay, we do have the seasonal tendency for it to just kind of sell off here. We have been stuck in this range for a long time. There's been a lot of this bump in yields has really given a big boost to the dollar as the rest of the world's trying to lower rates. The Fed's also lowering rates, but they're signaling that they're slowing down on lowering rates, which I don't doubt that the rest of the countries will also get in line with that. Basically, everybody does exactly what the Fed does. So I still think that you're right. I think this is probably a false breakdown and dollar false breakout. The divergence is big.
I don't know that it is. I'm just
Of
not
course.
so much trusting this breakout, like yet.
Yes. If it sustains above this, I would say, okay, hey, we're sustaining above this level, all good.
But if we're above, and the dollar rips into Q1, is that a negative for stocks considering how well stocks have done this entire dollar rally?
I believe so. I am completely aboard with that thought. I don't think it's going
So
to
it
be
wasn't
good.
bullet. It wasn't bearish for stocks on the way here, but this resolution is what you're saying.
Now we're out of a range. Most of the time, range bound thing, people read too much into things that are range bound. Range bound things, most of the time, it just means it's going to hit the top of the range, it's going to hit the bottom of the range, it's going to go back and forth. But if it's really going to break out here and go up to those old highs, like, yes, that's going to be a headwind. That's also probably going to take yields with it. And that could be a big problem for stocks. Now, once again, I would continue to ride the trends. If the trends change, I would look into this a little bit more. But if the stock market's moving up and the dollar's moving up, I'm not going to fade it. So I just think that's the best way to look at it. Just continue to hold the trends. When this starts to put too much pressure on the market, which we will not know that exact level, but when it puts too much pressure on the market, that means the market's probably going to start going lower. And there's a lot of reasons to feel like we're kind of going into a risk-off regime. Breadth is starting to look bad. Breadth's starting to turn over. Still, the trends are still intact, so I'm not that bearish yet. Still pretty bullish.
Yeah, I don't know about breadth turning over. I'm not convinced of that. I keep being told that. I'm just not. I'm not seeing breadth turning over.
Long term, it's great. I don't see anything that's telling me that breadth is bad. Stocks over 200 look fine. They're within my models. So if I'm looking at long term,
why don't we stay there for 1 second? Stocks above their 200-day moving average. I'm looking at the New York Stock Exchange, which, in my opinion, is the most important stock exchange in the world. And I did see quite the breakdown from 72% of stocks in the New York above their 200-day moving average, down to just above 50, where we sit right now, which is the fewest amount of stocks on the New York Stock Exchange above their 200-day moving average in over a year.
And that doesn't bother me yet. Now, once again, I know a lot of people are going to go, "Oh my God, it's at this level." I personally look at it and I back testing it and go, "Okay, if it's under 50, I'm out." That's the point where I go, "I'm out. I'm done with this. This doesn't make sense anymore." Above 50, I'm okay with it. I know it's going to be volatile. I know we're going to have pullbacks. I know it's probably going
And
to be
what's so
nasty.
magical about 50, Jason?
So just back testing. Just if you go through the back test and you see when these levels really start to break down, when the stock market starts to break
50's
down.
a big one, huh?
50 is a big one. Yes, 50 is the big one. It's the one I've looked at for years, and depends on your time frame. If you're a long-term trader like me, I'm not really long-term, but to most people I would be somewhere around the 3 to 6 month time frame. You're going to look at that and go, okay, well, we're going to have some volatility. I know I'm going to be in pullbacks. That's not the end of the world. But under 50, if you're in that time frame, that's where things get scary. But it held up right there. It started to bounce right there. The McClellan oscillator gave a nice bounce signal too.
Wow! Shout out to the McClellan oscillator, a word that I haven't heard since I took the CMT exam 20 years ago. Wow, McClellan oscillator.
It's in your chart deck, man. I put it in the chart deck too. I know people don't use it much, but to me, it's a great, like if I'm looking for bottoms, I'm looking for something that's going to bounce. I always look to that. It's a really good tool. If you back test it, you can see that you really get these bounce signals above and below certain levels. We closed above one of the levels that I always look at. And so now that we're above that level, I'm just looking at it and going, okay, well, that probably was a bounce. We'll probably resolve to the upside here.
You know who the real star of that family is? Is Marion McClellan, right? So Sherman McClellan is the man and gets all the credit, well deserved. But his wife is the mathematician, Marion McClellan. She's like the real gangster.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys know that. Fun fact. I sat next to him once at like a CMT conference, and that dude was taking more notes than I've ever seen in my life. And he's not a young man by any means. I was thoroughly impressed with the amount of notes this guy was taking at the conference that I was sitting next to him. But his wife is the OG. She's the mathematician. Fun fact.
I've heard Tom write about it a bunch of times. I've never heard seen it in person, but I'd love to. That's very interesting.
Yeah, totally. Talk to me about precious metals. So if the dollar's going to rip, one would think that that's probably not going to be great for the silver and gold trade. And you've seen silver come off, 10% or so off the highs.
Yeah, so I also brought a chart of silver, if we could cue that up. And it's a very long-term chart that Sam brought. So Sam found this one, and it's the low charts of silver on a chart that I've seen. I've seen the prices go back even further, but I've never seen it charted out. So shout out to Sam for this one. But, the cup and handle
Why are we looking at the prices in kilo? Like we're some kind of like weird Brits or something?
Because that was the only way it came. So yes, we are weird at this point. Sorry, but we're mainly just looking at the pattern. So just starting big picture macro, looking at this big rounding pattern, the cup and handle. This thing could take some breaks, as you're talking about here. If the dollar starts to really move higher, I would say, hey, we're probably going to take a break. But I still think the structure of silver is still very bullish. And I also just think this chart's pretty cool. Just to be able to go back that far, look at a silver chart and go, okay, this is generally what's happened over the last 200 years. That's a really good thing to kind of look at and watch out for. But I really do like this cup and handle pattern. I think the cup and handle is going to probably resolve to the upside at some point, and that's going to be one of the biggest catalysts we've seen in a long time for silver. Like we've talked about before, silver hitting 50, that's not too crazy anymore. It used to be crazy to say silver at 50 again. But once we get over 50, I think this thing really takes off to the upside. And then going back to, I know you guys had a chart of the dollar up earlier, so if we could go back to that chart of the dollar. But the dollar is also one that we're looking at, which is when we see this bearish divergence here, and then we're looking at precious metals. If this thing goes down back into the range and heads lower, silver and gold are going to be the biggest beneficiaries of this. So I think that too many people are looking into it and going, okay, silver's going to do this, silver's going to go down, or commodities or whatever. And it's really simple as this. if this goes back down into the range and silver starts to move higher, that's going to be a great catalyst to see silver start to really move to the upside. Gold, precious metals, gold miners, all these things will really start to move to the upside. And yes, I saw the comment. Metals are fickle. Absolutely. But gold has been one of the best performers this year. Yeah, yeah. What doesn't move up and down?
Right.
You know. But yes, metals are fickle. Commodities are fickle. But everything moves up and down, and there's certain times where you want to buy certain assets and certain asset classes. And I do think that there's a very simple trade here. You know, silver, look at the lows. They're really close to right now on silver, on any silver chart you look at, or gold. You could put a stop very close. Risk to reward looks great. Take the trade, you know, lose a little if you're losing in the trade, or wait for a little bit of momentum to the upside. But I do still think that silver and gold, I mean, look at the seasonality also. I put that chart up the other day. The seasonality for silver and gold, this was just last week when I was on Friday. The seasonality is amazingly bullish right now. If we look at over all time, it's like 90%.
Well, if the dollar's down for the last week of the year, every year for 15 years straight, 100% of the time, that ain't bad for silver and gold.
No, and also the Chinese New Year also gives a good seasonal push to gold and silver, and this usually happens right now into the end of January. So actually, the best time to trade it is right now, buying today, holding gold, silver all the way to February 1st or 2nd. And that's one of the best trades that we have seen on our models, just looking at seasonality. So seasonally speaking, it looks great. If the dollar comes down, I'm more bullish on it. I wouldn't just buy it without seeing the dollar kind of give way. But I do think I think the market kind of got ahead of itself last week with the Fed. I think it thought too much into it, looked at it as more bearish than it actually was. And it wasn't as bearish as I think it really was. I think the market was just kind of getting ahead of itself.
Chinese New Year coming up. I remember being in Hong Kong years ago, and we're hanging out with these guys from Goldman Sachs that were telling me that they skipped Chinese New Year altogether so that they could attend Chart Summit. We were doing this. We gotta bring back Chart Summit. People love it. I mean, these guys at Goldman were skipping Chinese New Year just so that they could be with us at Chart Summit. That's saying something, Spencer. It's saying something.
Yeah.
You know what I love about it over there? They just give each other money. You know, I don't know, right? Like,
what?
They just send each other money.
Yep. Sending gold and silver is actually how they exchange gifts. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I do that to my nieces and nephews.
So like, if I text you like, oh, Spencer, I'm having pizza for dinner. Here's $3. Like in the text, they send each other money like that. Wow.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. All right, you want to hit that bumper and we'll get out of here?
Yeah, Jason sent over a few videos for recess, right?
All right, do it.
Gotcha.
Hey. You got Jason doing backflips?
No, nothing that cool today, but you know, me and my buddy, we were riding and we did a couple tricks for you guys, so we'll see how that looks.
Let's
see how this comes out. Whoa. Is that you?
Oh wait, this is my son. Yeah! So this is the one I sent on my son.
Holy shit!
So my son's doing a double backflip. So that's
crap.
So he's been out there training in Colorado, and so last week we went to go see him, see how awesome he's been doing, and check out some of his tricks. So that's been cool. The first videos of me though, which isn't quite as cool as my son anymore.
Wow.
Sorry, 1 second.
No, you're good. But yeah, man, he's been working on it. He's been doing really good. We're really proud of him. I never would have thought he would follow in the footsteps of extreme sports, but he's there, man. He's doing really good.
Are we seeing Jason? I want to see Jason.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it here. Hold on a second. Oh, I was hitting the wrong button. My fault.
But we are seeing Jason still.
I know, but I want to see you doing backflips. I can't do any of that stuff, so I get very impressed.
It's just some wall ride stuff, you know, nothing that crazy. But me and my buddy have been riding together for the last 28 years, basically. We were talking about it. We were like, yeah, we did wall rides when we first started riding together. We should try to do one today. And like, old man kind of
you call these things a wall ride?
Wall rides.
That's you?
That's me.
Oh.
All right.
Definitely
got the
not
video.
do that. Definitely not do that.
So it was me and my buddy, but we kind of split the video up, so that's fine. But
You call them wall rides?
wall rides. Yep. So basically, when you're basically going out of a quarter pipe, riding on a wall, coming back in, you know, being an old man, that's about all I got these days. And my buddy
That's
was like,
more than most. That's more than most.
my buddy was like, we'll do it back to back. So we did it together. And then we flew back home. So it was a fun trip, man. Seeing my son bust out some tricks was really cool. Getting to ride with some buddies was really cool. So it was a good time.
My
Good on
recess
you.
was going to be slide 15. Fonz. Rest in peace to Nordstrom as a publicly traded company. They're going private as of this morning. So here's a long-term chart. This is not even. This is I think since 2000. About 50 years ago, 51 or 2 years ago, give or take, the Nordstrom IPO'd. Great American brand, not Great American stock. So, RIP JWN. Nordstrom's still around. Stock will not be.
What a piece of hot garbage that thing is. Who goes there? Like, who shops at Nordstrom's? Like, I might
Some
be
people-
ignorant because I don't know.
People do.
I
Not,
don't know
not
that I've ever
I,
even
but
seen a
pe-
Nordstrom's.
people
Like, where do they
do.
even have those?
yeah, they're the anchors of malls. So,
They're for people who wear suits a lot.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
Imagine-
I don't do that. So
imagine dressing like you're going to a funeral every day.
oh no,
Right.
that's part of the reason. When
see-
I was going to Sonoma, I asked Steve. I said, "Steve, do you guys wear suits or anything?" He said, "Hell no, we don't wear suits." And I was like, "Good, I'll fit in perfectly. I don't
You're
have."
lucky
any."
if you find us wearing shoes.
They say, what do you got?
I just want to give a shout out to the Tucker House. That's where we're eating at the the Tucker House. Yeah, the Tucker House in Africa in the animal kingdom. Excellent. Of all the meals I had, you know, the lamb chops at Cinderella's Castle were pretty good. A little salty. You know, I've been a little sensitive to salt lately, so maybe it's just me. I thought it was a little salty, but very good, I thought. Especially for like Walt Disney, like not really high expectations. And one last thing, I took one of the 2-year-olds and we snuck away in Epcot, just me and him, and we went into Japan. And I'm like, I've been to Japan a bunch. I'm going to see what the Disney situation is here. Sure enough, we found a counter. Him and I sat there for an hour. We had a JC sushi session, which I know Spencer knows what that's all about. Jason, I'll have to take you to a JC sushi session one day. They are fantastic. We sat there and he ate the uni and the toro and the salmon, and he drank the entire miso soup. This is a 2-year-old. Absolutely crushed it. Me and him in Japan. Honestly, I went in there with low expectations because I'm thinking about the sushi at Epcot. How good could it be? While it wasn't the best, it exceeded my expectations. It was better than I thought it was going to be. Again, you're at Disney, so don't go in there with high expectations. I did not, but it was better than I thought it was going to be. So shout out Japan at Epcot.
All right. Good stuff. We got a shout out in the chat is the ETF power rankings that we've been doing. I'm going to drop the link to that email. One of our newer free notes. If you want to get the daily ETF power rankings, I recommend doing that. It's fantastic. Also, anyone in All-Star Charts Premium, you know what the deal is. Tonight is the last conference call of the year. You got an email about it this morning. If you're not in AAC Premium, you will not get that call.
What's the over-under on how many charts tonight?
The over-under should never really change. It should always be like 100.
150. 150 is a good over.
I was just saying like 100, like 30, 20.
Over-under's got to be 150.
All right, we'll see. Link in the chat. That's what we got, everyone. Thanks for watching. Smash the like. Go make money. We'll see you tomorrow, all right?
I'll see you tonight.
Or tonight. That too.
Adios.
I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it